you have my span of 10 to 12 years of in the market. I have done technical as well as fundamental analysis as part of my trading journey. And as I said, I've always found that fundamental was always behind the curtain. And that was the reason that I stepped into technical analysis. And I've gone far ahead as far as technical analysis is concerned. And particularly found Fibonacci to be very, very interesting. And I would want to share some of that with you today. We've already very, less time, but I will try to justify as much as possible. Okay. So with this, I start the presentation. Yeah. Okay. So for retracements, we just use these three ratios. 0.382. Half of anything is very important. It's not a Fibonacci ratio, but half of anything is very important. So halfway mark, which is 50%, and 0.618. Okay. So these are the three ratios that you use for retracement or supports. And for extension, that is for targets, you use these ratios: 0.618, 1, 1.382, 1.5, and 1.618. Okay. So these, see, the thing about Fibonacci is, you can have as many ratios as possible. You add them, you multiply them, you divide them, you get another ratio. Okay. But when you're in the market, you need to decide what to do now. So if you fill your entire chart with ratios, you just wouldn't know where to buy or where to exit. Okay. So what you require is these important ones. Okay. So again, a different way of approach. To find supports, you start from the highs and then you come down. Okay, because you're looking for supports. These ratios which we're talking about, they're nothing but supports. Okay, and when the market is coming down, that means you want to see where it will stop. So that is why you start from the highs and then come down to see where these three ratios are standing. Okay, so this is something different that you will find in this approach. Where wherever you will read Fibonacci, you will see they say start from down and on the high, or the low and high of the swing. This is how Fibonacci generally is taught. But that is a very, very basic way of teaching Fibonacci or learning about Fibonacci. If you continue to do that, you will continue to be, way behind the curve as far as Fibonacci is concerned. So start from the highs and end at the lows as far as supports are concerned. Okay, so how to draw these candles? How to draw the grid? So what are the things that you should be looking at when you look at a chart? This is what you need to look at: the bull candles. Now, bull candles are pretty visible. You don't need to pay a lot of. You don't need to find them. They'll be very big in size as far as the other candles will be concerned. So, bull candle is one which the market is using to move up. So, bull candles, bear candles, similarly is the bear candles. They are very big in size, and they are the ones that you should be using to start from. Okay, so we are wanting to know which are the two ranges to make the grid from. They are definitely not the low and high of the swing, guys. Okay, I will show that to you that they are definitely not the low and the highs. So what are they? They are these that you need to look at. And these you will find in each and every chart. Whether it is your monthly chart or a 60-minute chart or maybe 15-minute chart. So whatever I teach today, it will be more on the higher time frame chart or monthly chart or weekly chart because they are much easier to see. But you can apply the same thing on your shorter term charts for trading perspective. Okay, so these three things, they don't change when you go down to trading on a 60-minute chart. They remain the same. These three things are exactly what you should be looking at. The bull candles, the bear candles and the gaps. Now the other part is, which are the bull candles which are more important? The candles or the bull candles which have not been retraced. Which have not been retraced. When the bulls take charge, they don't let anybody enter. एक बड़ा सा force आता है and they just whiz off. So that is the first sign that the bulls are taking charge from that zone. So market is using that particular zone to make its mark. So market will keep giving you these markers on the charts. Now as an analyst you need to find them where they are. Okay, so these three things guys, first bull candle, bear candle and gaps, but if they are not retraced, they are much stronger and you should be taking them. Okay? Okay. The other part is all the three ratios that I spoke about just now, 0.382, half and 0.618. All these three ratios should be below the current price. All these three ratios should be below the current price. So if the market is falling और आप जब वो बना रहे हो तो ये जो तीनों ratios हैं वो नीचे आने चाहिए उसके. It shouldn't be that one of these ratios is above the price. So all these three ratios should be below the current price. So this is one of the most important things that you should keep in mind. So this is the large example. This is Bank Nifty chart guys, and if you look at the chart here, this is the high, but we have not taken this high. Okay, so this is the first punch that you see, two candles, one after the other, and the market was down from 30,800 to nearly 29,000. Okay, so this is the kind of punch that we are looking at when we are looking at resistance. So the bear candles that I just spoke about. So this is the force that we are looking at. These doesn't make any sense. This is just congestion. Market does not make its point from these congestion areas. The bears aenge, they will not let anybody enter. Okay, so this is the place from which you should be starting your grid from. It is this zone. 2 punches down, another one. 3 punches, it is here. So 1,000 points down. So the market is making its grid from these zones and not from here. Okay, so once you have spotted, once this is done, now you want to know where it will stop. So you make a grid from here, then you start coming down. If you look at this zone here, there is a gap here. Okay, people who have the laptops, they can see it clearly. I'll show it to you. I have it on my graph as well. So this is a gap here, and that is why this was chosen. Okay, gap never retraced. Again, there's a gap here and there's a bull candle here. So you have two things here. The gap and the bull candle that I was just talking about. So again, this zone was chosen. Then you come down here. This is again a gap here. Okay, it was retraced a bit, but then this is a very important zone. So as I said, gaps which are not retraced, much more powerful, but then gaps are also very important. Okay, it was retraced, but then again this is a very important zone. And this is the low of the swing. So now, generally I don't want to use the low, but if there are spikes on the low, the market hits and then puts it up, pulls it up, that means that zone is important. Okay, again, the bulls, they don't let anybody enter. They just push the market up the moment the market reaches in their zone. Okay, so therefore, when you end your zones, Mostly the last bear candle, that should be the zone to be chosen. If there is no bear candle, then you can use these candles which end with spikes, straight up. Okay, so when you make these zones, so the first zone is from here to here, okay, and then you can use multiple zones. So the traditional way of using is from top to toe, okay, and after that you never know what to do with it. After that you don't know what to do with it. With this system that I'm just talking about, what you can do is you have multiple zones of support. So this was a good support, this was a good support, this was a good support. Now this is resistance. So resistance, say you came down to the lowest support, then you come down to one more support, then you can come down to this another support. So there will be a confluence of these ratios. जहां पे वो confluence बनता है, that is the zone which is very extremely powerful. That is the zone from which the market will just pull up. And that is what you require as a trader. When the market comes into this zone, your risk is just below this zone. And then you buy for it. So what this does for you is, it gives you a system, a proper risk management to enter and exit. Okay, so this is, when the market comes here, this is the best place to buy guys. If this zone is broken, which is the next one, so you have another zone. This is yellow lines that you see, they are nothing but the Fibonacci confluence zones. So there are two supports, one is this, the other one was this. Now I've kept this example purposely because there are times when these zones are broken and then regained. Okay, so the same thing on Nifty did not break, and that's why you need to have Nifty and Bank Nifty together. Okay, they both should confirm. And this was not getting confirmed. When this happened, we did enter a trade here, we exited somewhere here, we made money, and then the other day this happened. When this happened, Nifty did not break its zone. Nifty was at its support. So there will be at times when this will happen. And if this happens and this zone is again regained, that means your market has again taken its support. The bulls have again taken charge. Okay, but in particular for the indices, I would suggest you have both your Bank Nifty and Nifty charts together for trading purposes. On the daily chart, very important. Okay, and both should confirm for you to take a trade in such circumstances. And whenever the market will come down to support, both will be at support. ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ कि like a few days back when the election was done, election results were coming out, both fell. ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ वो रुका रहेगा नहीं गिरता रहेगा. So both will fall. Okay, so you can take confirmation from each other. So this is for support. I have just jotted down the reasons why I have taken those zones, so you can look at it on the graph when you go back home. Now, this is the ordinary way of doing it, which I was talking about. You take lows and highs, and you just wouldn't know what to do with them. So we're talking about daily chart. Here it is. Okay. So this is exactly what I have given to you. Now, if you look at it, if you would do the ordinary way of just the lows and the highs, so this is it. This was the high. So this is it. Now, see, the market did not even come there. So do you think Fibonacci? Oh, sorry. बस ये नहीं आ रहा. To change the screen. Alpha 16. Yeah. So if you do the ordinary way, this is the low and this is the high. Now you see the 38.2%, the market did not even come there. So what does that mean? Fibonacci doesn't work? It absolutely works. Just that you are applying it wrongly. Okay. So if you think that this is the traditional way is correct, this is the live example for you. You know, नीचे आया, but there is already 1000 points up also. So the lows and the highs, guys, are not the right way to work. It doesn't work. Fibonacci doesn't work that way. It is using certain markers, and if you are not using those markers, then definitely you will miss the boat. You wouldn't know what's happening in the market. Okay?
How would one put the lower rate?
Pardon me?
How would Fibonacci rate?
That is what I am trying to explain, sir. So, three things that you need to look at when you're looking at those zones. Yeah, this is the zone that you should have been taken because this is all congestion. There are no bear candles there. So the force, that is what I am saying. See, this is the force. Two candles down nearly 1000 points on Bank Nifty. Okay, so this is the zone that you should be selecting and not this one. And when you're doing it, see, this is the fall and this is the entire swing. So now you want to see what is happening with this swing. You know, so in Fibonacci, the trend is intact as far as the 61.8% is not broken. Okay, so you want to see the trend of this particular swing. If 61.8% is intact, this particular swing or the trend is intact in this particular counter or index. Okay, but if the market is in a terrific bull run, it will not be using this swing. It will be using maybe the higher swing, and that is what exactly happened. It was using these two swings rather than this swing because it was in a terrific run. Okay, so plainly if you use these two, you would have definitely missed the point. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you, that traditional method is fine, but that works only when the market is moving symmetrically, not when the market is expanding.
You show the way to apply on the same chart.
Yes, sir. First, let me finish. We are already running short of time. Okay. So this is what I said. It was made a week back. So however, when you do, you might just not. The market might just not come to that zone, and you might just miss the boat. So be careful when you're using these high lows. Definitely use them. Okay. See what it is doing. But most of the time you will see. But don't rely on that alone. Okay. So this was the real-time trade taken by us when the market reached in this zone, as I said, this particular zone here, and we made some money there. Okay. So for resistance, what you need to do is start from the lows, vice versa. When the market is coming down, resistance matlab now it will move up. Now you want to know if the trend of the particular stock is down, you would want to know where it can stop. Okay, so again the same thing. Instead of high low, you go the reverse. You go from low to high. So when you stretch your Fibonacci from down to high, then you can see where it is stopping. Okay, what is very important when you're doing all that is, this is a bit different way of doing things. But what is very important, there's some small error here. I've just written M and start, but it should be reverse. Okay, this is the start, this is M. You should start here and end here. Now, what is important, what beauty about this entire thing that you will see is, it will nail all the important points on your charts. If you have chosen the grid correctly. Okay, so this was the high. This is the bull candle which was chosen to start, or sorry, to end from. And see, this is the bear candle. This is the bear candle low that was taken to again start. So you start from low and end here. Yes.
How do you select the start?
That's the bull candle. This is the start. This is the high is again the bull candle. Just remember the three things that I said for the start. just look for bull candles, bear candles and gaps. और कुछ मत देखो on the highs. And if you can find them, then use them. Just these three things will make a lot of difference to your analysis. Bull candles, bear candles, and on both the sides. Bull candles खाली नीचे नहीं मिलता है. Bull candles आपको हाईवे पे भी दिखता है. Because they are all retail people climbing. After seeing such a huge rise, now they want to take, they want to jump into it, and they jump into it right at the end. So these bull candles are made by retail people, okay, and that's why you should be looking at bull candles and the highs also. They are bull candles, but they all trap the retail clients, retail people. Out of greed, then they enter and then they get caught. So that's yet another way of understanding if a stock has risen, enormously over a period of time, and you find a very big bull candle, at the end, probably you know that this stock is going to come down. Definitely, it is going to take a breather. So this is yet another thing that you can look in your charts. Whenever you find a very big bull candle at the end of a trend, of a long trend that stock has been running, it has already turned 3-4 times, and then you find something like this, be extremely careful. It could be end of, it could be, in for some corrections before it could resume its uptrend again. Yeah, you were asking something. See, first, when you are looking at, I'm just talking about support resistances. I will come at extensions also. Okay. So when I come at extensions, I will explain it. First is when this has happened, this has already happened. Okay. यहाँ पे already गिर गया है, यहाँ पे this is a good support. It is moving up. Now you want to know कि कहाँ वो रुकेगा, because the trend is completely down. Okay. अभी ये 3000 वाला 1800 हो गया, I think 18, nearly half. Okay. So एक साथ कोई भी स्टॉक नीचे नहीं आता, एक स्टॉक कोई भी साथ ऊपर नहीं आता. Okay, when the trend is down, you want to know where again you can short the particular script or where you can exit if you are very bearish on that particular stock. या तो मुझे रखना नहीं. So where can you exit? You don't need to exit here. The place to exit is at 61.8% of the particular fall. So this is the entire zone, and you look at this zone here. Again, this is pyramidal chart. Market stopped exactly at this zone. Now, if you would take this low, ये ना यहाँ पे आता है. So you would still think काम तो कर रहा है. But what I'm saying is Fibonacci is very accurate. It's very accurate. So if exactly आपके zone पे नहीं आ रहा है, that means the zones that you have selected is incorrect. The other way to check whether your zones are correct or not, just extend these lines. They will act as very good supports and resistance in your past as well. So your past will keep, if it's an important zone now, it will be an important zone in the past as well. So the one way now, as a trader or as an analyst, what you need to do is you need to set your eyes on the horizontal. See, this is a very different way of looking at the markets. Your eyes are not trained for it. You've never looked at the internals. What I'm asking you to do is look at the internals. There is a lot of detail into it. Okay, so the way to do it is you look from this zone, from your left, and then you go from your right, you go to your left. Always do that to see what you have drawn is correct or not. Okay, but don't fit it. Don't try to fit it. ये तो पूरा zone match कर रहा है, यही correct है. First, choose these two zones and then look at it. If you try to fit it, कि हाँ पहले भी support लिया है तो यही zone है, you will be missing the details. Don't miss the detail. ये दो zone में बहुत detail है. So if your eyes can, and they're very easy to see. First select these two zones and then you decide ये सही है कि नहीं. And that you can easily do because the market would have always respected the same zone in the past as well. Okay, so this is the way to go ahead. Again, this was the same thing we have taken Bharat Forge. This is guys hourly chart. Now, why I have not included a lot of examples of trading is because the more shorter term charts you go, the more you'll be able to see. Okay, so but just have a look. The zone that has been selected is this zone here. If you have, so see, I'll show it on the chart as well. There are two candles here. Now there's a big force from here, from this start of the candle, but I have not chosen this candle because although this is a bear candle, it was retraced. So this particular candle ka high liya hai. Second is this candle here, one punch here, and then this candle here, again one punch here. So when you're looking at resistances, what you're doing is start का पे ही है. Now you're looking at कि कहाँ रुक सकता है. Okay, so for that you start from here and then you end here. Then again you start from here, you end here. Then again you start from here and then end here. So this is the way you have to go to find your resistance zones from down to top. Okay, and wherever you find two zones, overlapping of two zones, they are called confluence zones, and they are one of the most important zones on your chart because the market would respect that zone. Okay, so this is another example. You can apply the same thing on the shorter term charts. So as I was saying, trend of the stock is intact as far as the 61.8% of the largest swing is not broken. Okay, so this is the chart of Escort. This is a monthly chart. Now, if you look at it, again the bull candle has been chosen. This is the bull candle. The high of the bull candle has been chosen. Now, when you come down, keep coming down, you will have multiple zones. So you have, if you look at it, see there is a bull candle here, and this bull candle has acted as very good support. Okay. After that, when you are drawing these zones, what you should keep in mind is there should be some difference between the zones you are selecting. If you select these zones too closely, then आपके zones incorrect होंगे. Yeah, there will be overlapping. एक 38.2% 50 पे रहेगा, एक 38.2% 55 पे रहेगा. Okay, so there has to be a gap, and that will come with practice. Don't keep your zones too close to each other. Okay, bull zones or the markers that the market is making, they don't come from very near zones. There's some difference between them. Okay, so use that. So once, see this entire fall here, see this, there's a base formation here. Okay, now this base was never retraced. ये जो fall भी आया, this wasn't retraced and the market just went up. So I have taken this zone. So this is one swing. पूरा यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक, and this particular zone was chosen because it wasn't retraced and there was a big upthrust from this zone. So when you draw the zones, it is again you're trying to find support high and low. Okay, you will see exactly these zones being respected. So you see how accurate this is. 1, 2, 3. 3 times Escort did not go below this zone. So if you draw one more zone, you will find a confluence zone also here. So the next zone should be somewhere here down. We'll have to look at it on the real-time charts. So definitely there will be a confluence zone here, and that is why this market is respecting this so much. Okay. Now, if you want to find what I have told you is, you keep going down. Your 3 zones should be below the current price. 0.382, your half and 0.618. So what you do is, now see this is the big bear candle. Okay, now you can take this zone from where possibly there is another big punch. Okay, so if you have to have, if the zones are not coming below the zones, then you have to keep coming one step by the other. The market is coming down, so उसके markers भी नीचे आ रहे हैं. So you have to use the lower markers to draw your zones. Okay, so this is how it will work as far as this is concerned. And as I said, there's a gap here, and then there's a big bear candle here. So three things only you need to check to draw those. This grid is the bear candle, the gap, and the bull candle.
How do we know in the future it won't fall off?
Once it is done, you can use it only once it is done. Gaps you can use it immediately.
For example, you got a very strong bearish candle, again very strong bearish candle.
This one.
Yeah. And then again the second one. How do we know in the future there won't be any further decline?
I'm talking about the zones to utilize to draw your grid. First is that. Second is to decide the trend. Has the trend been broken? The way to decide what Fibonacci says that unless and until your 61.8% is not broken, your trend is intact.
But how do we know at this point of time the trend is intact?
Trend is intact, no? 1618 is intact. 61.8% is intact. So the trend is intact. And this zone is not from the entire swing. This is higher zone. जब पूरा का swing रहता है, then it is some problem. Now this is holding this zone, higher swing. So this is still stronger. When you draw from here, this will be probably maybe 50%. Okay. So when you're taking these zones, first analyze the swing itself. Okay. First analyze the higher swing. Okay, on your intermediate chart or weekly or monthly for an intermediate trend and see what it is doing. So here, when you see here, it is still holding on to its trend. It has not broken its trend. So the dips are a good zone to buy. Okay, so if you draw a confluence zone, you get a confluence zone here. So then you do an analysis on your shorter term charts. Okay, this is too small, but still. When you do analysis on a shorter term charts and you get some reversals, then you can start buying them. So you are able to enter at a very nascent stage of a recovery. Okay, so every time it has done that, see the spike here, see the spike here. This is what I keep saying. When there are spikes, that means the bulls are buying there. Spike ऐसे नहीं आता. Okay. So this is the chart of Titan that I have taken. Now again, as the point that I was just making. Now look at this here. This is the zone which was a very good base, and from this zone the market just, or this particular stock just zoomed up. Okay. Now again 2 punches. 1, 2. This stock was down, lost nearly 5-6%. So these are the zones. This was very important. That's why this was chosen. Okay. Now when you take this entire zone, you see it's not even breaking 38.2%. A stock that does not break 38.2% of a higher swing is in a terrific bull run. It's in a terrific bull run. So now these are the stocks that you should be looking for investment and for your trading purposes also, because they're very strong. The momentum is very, very strong in this particular stock. Okay, so if you take all lower zone, it wouldn't even come here. This particular zone, if you take another swing, a lower swing, उधर तक भी नहीं पहुंचेगा. Okay, so that's why you need to have a higher swing. So the stocks which are very strong, they will not be making zones from the low to the high. You will have to take one higher zone because they are in a tremendous bull run. That is what it is called, the expanding. So when the stock is expanding, your low to high funda will not work. Okay, so that is why you need to find the markers on the charts from where it is making its current grade. So particularly these stocks which do not fall more than 38.2%, they are extremely strong. And you should be buying those particular stocks. Okay. Okay. So now we've come to extensions. As I said, the zone that you need to use is 0.618, 1.3, 1.5, and 1.618. Okay, so first is, these ratios that we're talking about, they are nothing but the vertical distance of the zone chosen. So the good part about extension is you don't need to look for so much of detail. As I just explained, you need to do it for your support and resistances. For your support, resistance here definitely for trading purposes. These extensions are for your targets. Okay. So when you're doing targets, Fibonacci extension is very, very useful and very powerful, and it is very, very simple. So all you guys who are a bit perplexed with all what I have taught you, there's some breather. This is really simple, and they're very powerful. Okay. So again, you just choose the swing, start of the swing, high and the low. So there is nothing you need to change. So कुछ भी नहीं देखना है. Low of the swing, high of the swing, and recent low. A, B, C. ये तीन चीज चाहिए आपको. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. You get one swing, and then you choose another swing down, जहाँ से एक और चालू हुआ है. Again, here the low was somewhere here, 33 something that I can see on the charts. So A, B, C. Again, what you will see, again you will get cluster of zones, and these clusters will act as good resistances going forward. Okay. So your first resistance that you see was here in this zone, those zone. Okay. So the market broke this zone, came back to support, again support, and now it is again under this cluster. Okay. फिर एक बीच में इतना सारा gap है. So these gaps are the zones, where the market will be very fast because there is no hindrance. So दोनों तरफ वो fast रहेगा. Okay. So generally, when there will be lot of zones very near to each other, market is very soft in that case. They are the corrective zone, ऊपर नीचे बहुत करता है. So these are the zones where they are free and they will move very fast. Okay, so these are the zones we should not miss. So the confluence zone comes as somewhere here around 1700 for time. So this is something that you can again look at it. So the possible target for Titan is around 1700 bucks. Yeah. Okay. This is Bank Nifty again, ABC. Okay. I'll just do it on a longer term chart so that you can understand what's happening. Okay. So here it is. Again, the low. This was the low of the swing. This is A. This is B. This is C. Okay. Again, this is the low of the swing. This is A, this is B, this is C. Okay. So I have also used 38.2% just to and 50% just to understand whether these zones which I am making have they been respected before moving up also. So if you see this is a confluence zone here. So the market is already telling you that the zone that you've drawn is correct. So if it is respecting now, it will respect the same zones, will be respected in future as well. And so this was one zone, this was another zone. Now see, this is what I was talking about. When it will be, when there will be very few zones very close to each other, बहुत बड़े move आएंगे either ways, because it is free. There is nothing to stop it. Okay, so you see here, बड़ा move up, बड़ा move down. Again, trigger it up and then pull it down. And this one candle entire thing up in only one candle. Okay, so now it is in a resistance zone here. Bank Nifty needs to clear this zone to move up further from there. So similar is Nifty. They both are at their respective resistance zones, and we need to clear this zone to move up higher. So the other way to look at it is, if you look at most of the stocks, they've fallen, beaten down 40-50%. Whether it is Dabur, I just showed you, Scott, there are a host of pharma stocks, there are a host of auto stocks, they're all 35-40% down. Most of them are more than 40% down. Okay, so if that is the case and the Nifty is still at high, I don't see a reason for this market to tank. even if this is a good resistance, it could be sideways, but all these stocks have already been beaten down. 40-50%. The correction has already been done. Yeah, if the situation would have been very different, I would have taken this zone very seriously, because these zones act as tremendous resistance zones and support zones. So, but still, I would be careful till this zone is not cleared. You should be a bit careful.
Only after lifetime high, there is no resistance.
No, sir. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता.
Fibonacci gives us that resistance.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. There's some basis on which these stocks are moving up. So for all those people who think that there is no basis, that people running these particular counters behind, they're absolutely wrong. There's something else, and technical is a tool by which you can see that. Technical doesn't run the market. I don't have that much of time to explain, but I would have definitely explained the power of technical analysis, because it is using certain tools which the market is using, and that is why it is powerful. Okay, and please keep that out of your mind that somebody running the show. There is nobody running the show. Market is a separate entity. It has a separate mechanism to grow, and it grows and it comes down on that basis. Otherwise, none of the stocks would fall. Reliance would never fall. If that was the case. If you're talking about money power, I don't think so Reliance would ever fall. But 10 years it was in sideways projection. Uske baad wo nikla. There is nobody running the show, guys. Okay. So, answer.
Your experience is definitely levels constantly
Pivot levels.
higher side, especially extension points.
Pivot levels are again derived from, yeah. So it's सर वो ऑलरेडी होने के बाद निकाला जाता है. High low close. हाँ, तो they are taken out after it has been done. ये आपको पहले से दे रहा है कि कहाँ वो रुक सकता है. Pivot levels that you're talking about, they are given after it is done. Absolutely. So similar वो हो चुका है ना, उसके basis पे वो दे रहा है. So there's some calculation, but this is वो एक अलग method है sir. What this is telling you, this is this is what the market is using to move up. So this is what you need to keep in mind, that what is the market doing to move up or come down. That is what I am trying to explain. Okay, I'll just move ahead. Just 2-3 slides left. Okay.
Can you show one example how you have drawn those levels?
Which one?
The
extension.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So first is this zone. This is the high. This is the high. This is the low. Now the market is breaching this zone. We want to know where it will stop. Okay. So this is the high, and then ये particular swing का low ये था. So ये zone लिया, ठीक है, और ये particular swing का ये low था. So two zones I have selected. Okay. The third is this zone, where this is the breakout zone. So this is the third. I didn't want to add this to you because you would get confused right now. But the same things you can add. You can do it with bull candles also. You can use bull candles also. अगर आपके पास zones नहीं है and the market is moving up, now there is no swing here. Okay. Now ये दो zone तो हो गया, दो zone के बाद तो आपके पास कुछ है ही नहीं. But the market is using something, to grow. So this is one bull candle. This is the third one. This is what I have used. Now, as I said, this is nothing but the vertical distance. So आप एक vertical line बना लीजिए, extension कर लीजिए. From this zone, this is the high, and then the low. Sorry. Okay. So ये आपको grid आ गया 38%, 50%, 61.8 and 100%. So this 100% means is nothing but the length of this to this. This is the height और उतना ही ये भी height है. This is 100%. Okay? And इसी का फिर 1.38%, 138.2%, 150% and so and so. So the next zone that you go is again take this zone here. Okay, so इसमें points have been just selected. Just to make it vertical, I have done it from here. Okay, the points are these. This was the point. उसमें vertical line बना दिया, horizontal line, and the point was this. So 1, 2 points. So A, B, C, right? And you got the extension. Yeah.
Why we have to manually draw? Can't the system draw it right?
नहीं sir, there is no system as such. ऐसा कोई सिस्टम है नहीं which can draw on its own. अदरवाइज हमारी जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती फिर. अगर टेक्निकल खुद सॉफ्टवेयर कर लेता तो हमारी जरूरत ही नहीं थी. Okay, so this is yet an example that I've purposely again chosen. This is Yes Bank. Now if you look at it, if you just draw from top to toe, again you wouldn't get the important zones on Yes Bank. Now see this one candle. This is the bear candle. There's nothing that, there's nobody who can't see this. So this is the zone from where the market is making its markers from. It's giving you a zone that I am coming down from here and therefore you have to use that zone. Okay, so this is one zone. The other zone you will look at is this one. यहाँ से सीधा नीचे. Okay, so when you are making these zones and again to find support you start from top and you come down. So obviously your the 3 ratio that I spoke about, they should fall below the current price. So obviously आपके इतनी ऊपर से तो price आ नहीं रही. So then you have to go to the next level. So you then start seeing from this level. And if still those zones are still above that, that means the stock is extremely weak. They're coming down, but still those supports के ऊपर ही आ रहा है price. Sorry, the prices are down only. So that means, the market is still coming down. Now, purposely I've taken this stock. Again, if you take the 61.8% of the entire stretch, this stock would have already broken 61.8%. Okay, but the fact is, it has not broken yet. So the trend is intact as long as the 61.8% is not broken. So this is the zone. It is still there. ये पहले का चार्ट बना हुआ है. So it was breaking, but on a monthly basis, it has still not broken. So if it is not broken, then it is still intact. Okay. So all the stocks which have broken 61.8%, they are the ones that you should be exiting on rallies. Because these stocks will do nothing but waste your time. Okay. So yet another rule. If the stock has broken 61.8%, please exit the stock on the rallies. So there are many examples. This is one example which is classic case as I found. This is Hindustan Zinc on a monthly chart. Again, if you look at it, high has not been chosen. यही zone है जहाँ से 1, 2, 3 stock आधा हो गया. Okay, so from the zones where the stock give you a big punch down, they are the ones to start from. So from top to toe, when you take, you see the 61.8% is exactly there. कौन सा? यही है सर, वही है, यही zone लिया हुआ है. I have drawn from like this so that you can see this zone. But the zone, the level is this one. Okay. So if the zones are correct, you will see the 61 point on the retracement. It will not go beyond 61.8%. So the stock, obviously, it has broken 61.8%. ये 61.8% था. So since ये पूरे fall का you want to see the rally because इससे पहले आपका हिस्ट्री नहीं है. Okay. So this is the entire thing. It has broken 61.8%, and then it was unable to break 61.8% of this entire fall. So the stock which is in a bear trend, it will waste a lot of your time, unless and until you bought somewhere here, and exited here. So this is I think this is 2008 and this is 2018. The stock is still there. It has still not crossed the price which it was at in 2008. So please avoid the stocks which are in a bear trend unless and until you are very good at buying here, or you have the courage to buy here, and leave it for years. So these are the value areas. Yeah, definitely. इससे नीचे कभी नहीं गया. You can take a chance there, but they are not the stocks to look at for your investment purposes. The stocks to look at for investment purposes are the stocks which are in tremendous bull run, and they are the ones like they have not broken 38.2% of a higher swing. So you have stocks like Titan, you have stocks like UPL, you have stocks like Bajaj Finance. Now all these stocks, if you look at it, इन्होंने अपना 38.2% of higher swing पे भी तकलीफ हो रहा है. So they are the stocks that you should be looking for investment. Don't just because certain stocks have fallen, I should buy that. Don't do that. You'll waste a lot of time. Okay. So again, this is for your risk management purposes. For investment, you can use the same thing for trading as well. So two zones again, as I said, this was the zone chosen initially. So when you chose this zone and this zone, your 38.2% was here. I'll just show it to you. Just running short of time. Okay. This is tight. Okay, here it is. So this is the start here. Okay, and this was the swing that I was talking about. This should be the low. Okay. So this, see, now it has not broken 38.2%. So now you need a higher swing. You need a higher swing to know where the confluence zones are coming. So which is the next zone now here? See this here, this is yet another candle, and this is also the breakout zone. This entire congestion happened after this candle came in. So you can choose this candle again as the next higher zone to draw your confluence zone. Okay, then again you start from high and then you end it here. See, you get two confluence zones, which is there on your chart as well. So this is one here and this is two here. So the way to do for investment is, once this is respected, so two things you do. First you see this, then you see your oscillators, which sir explained that in very detail. So you have a bull zone of oscillator as well, and then you see the price. Okay, so here is the price. It has stopped dead there. Look at your oscillators. Are they also giving you an indication to buy? So when you buy here for your investment purpose, your risk management should be, or your stop loss should be below this zone. Okay, so this is primarily, or if you still want a lower zone, draw one more here and take a lower zone. But always have risk management. Have a risk management for your investment also. Don't leave it open-ended. देखेंगे तो you'll have to watch it for a long time. Okay, so this is how investment you can do risk management for your investment. The same thing applies to your trading as well. You do the same thing on your daily charts and hourly charts. The first zone, the problem with trading again is this zone is just too much. So you have to rely on this zone only, because you'll never be able to buy when the market dips here. Okay, so you have to keep a stop loss a bit below this zone. So at times it will hit your zone and move up. So there is nothing that you can do about it. So when you are trading, that room of error is very less. You cannot keep such a big stop. And you need to be very accurate, okay, to be able to buy here, because if you thoda sa bhi niche marega and you've already bought, your stop loss will get triggered, okay. But the good thing is, most of the time you will be correct if you're drawing all the zones correct. If you're going wrong more than often, that means there's something wrong you're doing in making those zones. Fibonacci works perfectly well. There's something wrong that we are doing in making those zones. Okay, so this is okay. Again, I will not go in detail in this, but I spoke about expansion and contraction. Okay, so when you make your zones from top to toe, from low of the swing and the high of the swing, and the market does not, on the correction, the market is not coming down onto that zone. It is an indication that your stock is in a tremendous expansion phase. उसका जो zones है वो ऊपर से बन रहा है और आप नीचे से बना रहे हो, तो obviously the market is in such a terrific bull run कि वो उतना नीचे आएगा ही. Okay, so when it doesn't do that, that means it is making its zones from higher zones. So there's a gap here which is there on your book, which I have used to make the zone, and you'll see exactly where it stopped. So this was the time when Wipro was some $16, and after that, it just went berserk. So a stock which is in a tremendous bull run, it will not come down to your, even it will not come down to your 38.2% if you take the entire swing. So that is why you need to raise the swing. And the first higher low is always far better zone to make your zones from rather than the low itself. And the same is for your highs. The first lower high is much more important than the high itself. So this is your Wipro chart. This is again Hindalco chart that I have drawn, which is again contracting. So what happens is when you make this entire zone, from these are the zones again chosen, gap here, bear candle end, and a terrific support here. See these gaps. These gaps have some uniformity in it. They are not very near and they are not very far. So when you are making these zones, they are all they've been given to you. Just look at them that there's some fair distance between each one of them. Okay. So if you cannot find something, that means you're missing something. Maybe go to a lower time frame charts where you can find something. Monthly mein nahi mil raha hai because it has less detail. You go to your weekly charts. Maybe then you'll be able to find something there in that zone. Okay, but have a fair distance. अगर ये distance fair नहीं होगा, तो आपके zones incorrect हैं. Okay, so whenever you're doing it, just decide the three things that I told you. You're looking for. Just look for them on the charts. You will find them. Okay. Now, when you're doing this, you see here, as I said, the confluence zone आता है. Just go from your right to your left to see whether those zones have been respected or not. Now, if you see here, ये top to toe लिया हुआ है. Okay, यहाँ पे respect हो रहा है, but have they been respected here? They have not been respected. That means the market is not making its zones from here, from this zone. Okay, so if you look at the punch here, ये बड़ा सा एक bear candle था. The market is probably making its zone from here. And when you look at it, फिर exact आएगा आपका. If you make the zones from here, I have chosen this zone here. Now you look at it, see these zones. The resistance, these support, exact. Now if you make it the other way, and the current, ये zone एक resistance है इसका, जहाँ पे है, आप पीछे भी देखोगे वो support करेगा. तो basically you will be going just the opposite. अगर आप उसको उल्टा करोगे, तो आपका trade भी उल्टा जाएगा. Here it is at support. This is the wrong way. If you're choosing from top to toe, यहाँ पे वो support पे है. And here it is at resistance. So the error is very minute, and that can make a lot of difference to your trading. Ulta hi hoga. Okay. So when you're doing the zone, just check on your left also whether they are correct or not. So initially keep doing that till you know that you're fine. you're doing good. Again, this is last. I think, yeah. Okay. This is the last. This is the only time the market makes its zones from top to toe is when the swings are symmetrical. Neither it is expanding, neither it is contracting. थोड़ा sideways रहेगा. And this is the live example of SBI. Top to toe बनाया. See all these zones. 61, 38.2, 50 and 61.8%. They exactly onto the entire zones have been respected. High to low, and after that the market did nothing. This is SBI. I think. Okay, this is the extension that I found. Okay, that's on the cash chart. So this is the rest of the chart. After that, this is what SBI has done. So the only time the market is making its zones from top to toe is when it is symmetrical. It's doing nothing. It will do nothing. Okay. So this was the last chart of my presentation, yeah. So I have given a brief of the entire thing that I have covered today. What you need to look at, the three vital things that you need to look at is your bull candle, your bear candle, and your gaps. These are the three things that you need to look at while making your Fibonacci grid. The other thing that you need to do is change the way you are using your, up and down and low and high. So when you're finding support, you have to start from the high and come down. Similarly, when you're going resistance, you start from down and you move up. Now when you're finding supports, all the three ratios should be below the current price. Okay. If current price ke niche nahi hai, then you have to go to a lower zone. You have to keep changing the zones. Because the market is not making its grid from high and low. So first you mark the zones on your graph. Okay, never try to fit it. I'm telling you again, if you try to fit it, पीछे का देख लेते हैं वो grid match कर रहा है, हाँ ठीक है, you will go wrong. You will absolutely go wrong. First, second, you will get exhausted. I have done this. You will get absolutely exhausted because आपका eyes को horizontal में train होने में इतना time लगेगा ना. But that is easy initially because अभी आपको नहीं दिखेगा. So you will try to do what? You will try to see the horizontal first, and that is a very tough work. Okay, आप उसको बनाओ और फिर देखो left में whether it is being respected or not. Okay, so first mark those zones and then select your grid. Make those grid. Always have an analysis on the weekly chart first. Okay, see what is the trend of that particular stock. वो bull trend में है या bear trend में. If the intermediate trend is up, then you draw the same thing on your shorter term charts or daily chart and trade in them. Same when the trend is down on the weekly chart. Use those stocks to sell whenever they are at resistance. Okay, have a fair distance when you're making these entire zones. Don't let them be very close to each other. Fibonacci grids are not made from, zones which are very close to each other. The markers are never very close to each other. So use those markers, see where they are, and have a fair distance when you're making those zones. Okay. The other vital important point for resistances, as I said, it's very, very simple and it's very powerful. Just use the swings. Just use your high, low, and then the recent low that you have to make the entire grid. And you can have your resistance zones. Now, all the stocks in which you are trading, आपके weekly chart में ये already बने रहने चाहिए. So that when the resistance actually the market comes there, you can exit those stocks and not wait for them to fall for you to exit. Okay. So for your investment, or at least stop. If you are trading in those stocks, at least stop. So if you're trading in SRF, please make the entire thing SRF is at a very stiff resistance. So unless and until you would have done that on a weekly or a monthly chart, you wouldn't know where to stop and you would keep trading. Okay, so draw these extensions, they are very simple to make and they are very powerful. So any question that you have, I think I'm done already. So any questions that you would want to ask? Okay.
Okay, anybody with questions?
Yes, he's asked a question on.
Okay, sorry.
I'll just answer it. Okay, so the same zone, if you look at this chart here, just expand it more. So same, see these two punches here. Now the vital difference between Bank Nifty and Nifty is, this is an important zone, but this entire thing has been retraced. So as I said, it could be an important zone, but if it is retraced, then it is not that important. Because bears will not let you come in their zone. From where they will start, they will not let you come back again. Okay? So the zone now here that Bank Nifty, this is Nifty zone. Nifty is making from here. See, there is no way they are letting you enter. 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 and 4. See the here. So the zone that you should be looking at to draw your grid should have been from here rather than here. उधर से भी बनेगा आपको, but this will be much more accurate. Another very beautiful point is this. Now see, the entire support right now has been on this only. अभी तक इस zone को breach नहीं किया है market में. On its fall, so the grids that you will make, the points that you will mark on your chart, they are the ones which the market is making its grid from. अगर वो zone टूटा भी ना, then you should be careful, because then it will go to the next grade. Okay, so this zone has not been broken, and yet another example that the market is making its grid from this zone. Okay, so the resistance has now become support. Okay. So now when you're looking going down here, see this is the entire swing here. Now you need to look at कि अपने bull candles किधर हैं. Okay, so this was falling here, you wanted to make. So this is the first that I see here. There's a gap and there's a bull candle. I think there was similar in the Bank Nifty chart as well. Okay, so you make this as the first zone here. Gaps very important. Use them always. Bull candles very important. Use them always. So this is the first one. Now when you're coming down here, then you see this here. See this spike. You know, fall. There's no spike also. So this is a Mariposa candle, where high, low and the low and the open is the same. So it's an indication of a lot of strength. The bulls give no time for anybody to enter. You should use such candles. You should use such the spikes if you would have got here. You know. So these are the zones where you can use to make your grid from. And then you see here again, last is this zone here. So then I can see a big bull candle here. So instead of the low, I would want to use the bull candle. Okay. So your three zones are done. Now you use, suppose, the lowest zone first to see. Now वहाँ पे तो आ ही नहीं रहा है. This one. The other very important point I'll just show you. When you mark your zones correctly, your fibs will also show that you marked your zones correctly. Now you see your 50% falling in one of your lines that you've drawn. See, this is one of the lines that you've drawn. Now your 50% is also falling on that particular line. So you know that the zone that you've selected is correct. So this is definitely not what the market is using. So इसको छोड़ दो आप. then you go to this next zone. See this zone here. So your 38%, I have drawn the opposite. So what you see as 61.8% is actually 38.2%. So this is the 38.2%. This is your 50, and then see again this zone 61.8%. So this is a very very important zone, guys. So ये इससे बनाया तो भी ये आया, इससे बनाया तो भी ये zone आ रहा है, and there is a gap and a bull candle, and we are again using this as a last zone. So we want a confluence zone. So 38% नीचे जाएंगे तो zones मेरे नीचे आने लगेंगे. So what we are using it? The next upper zone. So the moment you use the next upper zone, you get your confluence zone, which is exactly on there. So this is what I talk about. You might be correct, but if you are keeping a very small stop loss, ये spikes में you'll be out. Okay. So थोड़ा when the market is really fast, वो थोड़ा सा hit करता है उसको. Okay. But then it will not close below this zone. It will not close below this zone. So you know that. So it stopped dead here and then moved up. So the basic difference that I was talking about was Bank Nifty ने breach कर दिया था, Nifty did not breach. Nifty was exactly that. It respected that zone. Okay. So they're very very powerful, provided you have drawn your zones correctly. Okay. So the way again to trade is you draw this zone also, you get one more confluence zone, and that is your lower one. I think this zone which is being, so here it is. Okay, so you have this zone which has come in multiple zones, and then you have this zone. So somebody who wants to really trade big, then you should be buying here with a stop loss below this zone. So you have to give it some room for volatility. If you don't do that and you build a lot of position, then you could be just out because of the volatility. So best is whether it is trading or investment, you have to have risk management, guys. There's no other way. You can remain afloat for a long time, or you will be invested for a long time in long stocks. Okay, so have risk management, and whatever I have taught you is something which I have been applying, and it is working perfectly. Wherever it doesn't work for me, it's not that the fibs are not working, it is because I have drawn it incorrectly. So that is what I would tell you. This is a very powerful method, but it will require some dedication on your part to make it yours. So with that, I will conclude my, please.
Sir, these grids that you mentioned here can also be used as reference point for the extension.
That is what I am saying. See, if you start using them, they'll act as good resistance, but they might not be a very big resistance. But अगर आप swing low से बनाओगे, they should act as a very tough resistance. The more they will go higher, they will act, but they will not be that powerful. After some time, it will get broken. But these zones that you will make from lows and highs of the swing, they should be very, very powerful.
So, for extension, we should use swing.
For extension, it's very simple. Use all the swing lows, swing highs, and the recent low. So ABC, and it's a vertical distance. So it's nothing but uska jo length hai, that has been added to from the low. So it use the vertical. Even if you use it diagonally, it does not make much of a difference, but thoda sa slight farak rehta hai, that is it. But technically, it is nothing but us particular length percentages on the upside. So that is how it is done. Yes, sir. I'm done.
Okay. Now that you have got all this, you are going to